So we're moving right into the humanities team, led by Adriana. And I saw Adriana is here and ready. And your team, Adriana and team, if you can make it as impactful, as fast, as energizing as possible, that would be great. And I'm trusting you to do that. Over to you, ladies.
Thank you so much, dear Tato. What an amazing theme for our conference this year, a wave of change around the world. And the theme of humanity is always a broad aspect. But if we think of our own families, our communities, our systems, the ones that we relate to, then it starts making sense. And a big wave will be formed, and we can start spreading the word by the powerful words by Dr. Amina today. Better the human, better humanity. We feel cordially honored to join the conversation, and we invite you to join us today. I would like to ask our ambassador, Saskia, to share the slides for us. Can you do that for us, dear Saskia? And while Saskia starts sharing our slides, I would like to take you through a bit about humanity. So our team is formed by myself, Adriana Meyer, and our global ambassadors, and wave makers. If you can go to the next one. Yes, thanks, Saskia. Gabriela, Odiline, Anastasia, Sophia, Saskia yourself, and Asmo. And earlier this year, we spoke about an empowered woman empowers humanity. Can we move to the next slide, Saskia? Thank you. So with this conference earlier this year, we focused on the United Nations, the 17 Sustainable Goals, and with a closer focus on goals 3, 5, and 15, we identified a pledge to the call to action to women empowerment, equality, and diversity. And most recently, we have been working on a project that we believe is key to boost this concept, the Mother's Circle of Change. Can we move to the next one, Saskia? Thank you. So I'll be sharing a bit of the context with you. And Anastasia will share the pilot project, the highlights and objectives. Then Saskia will give you an overview of the interviews and the project execution. And finally, Sophia will say some words, the final words, and the call for action. So our pilot project that's already in place will be followed by the South African team talking about mothers and sons in November. Can we move to the next one, Saskia? Let me give you a bit of our context. The Mother's Circle of Change is an initiative inspired in our female wave of change, circles of change. And by that, we aim to create spaces in format of circles. The female wave of change, circles of women, and where mothers, leaders in their communities, and their children will be able to talk, be heard, and support each other. Our main objective with this is to establish bonds and support good relationships between a mother and a daughter. And our focus in the roles of mothers, empowering them and creating accountability. And when the mothers are accountable, they are able to raise, communicate, and support their girl child. Specifically, the single mothers raising kids, such as the young women in less privileged societies that do not have access to resources such as education, health, finance, and environment awareness. So to solve the many challenges our young people are facing today, we really need to be realistic and partner with them to find suitable solutions that apply to their reality. So we started our pilot project partnering with our Female Wave of Change team in Kenya. And that's what our Kenya ambassador, Anastasia Olembo, will share with us today. This is your call to action. Thank you so much, and let's get involved. Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our presentation. Next slide. Yes, so we took some time and looked at the situation in Kenya, and we were looking at the young women who, during especially the period of COVID, they were affected. Schools were closed, and we ended up having several issues. So education policy in Kenya, we have this policy that demands that all children, irrespective of their gender, should go to school, and it starts from nursery or through transitioning to the university. Although the ratio between male and female has improved in Kenya in terms of the statistics, there are still disparities that are felt across, especially in the regions. Due to COVID-19, schools were affected and children found themselves at home for a very long time. Actually, in Kenya, the schools were closed for almost over a year, and that also affected the curriculum, and it affected how the teaching and learning took place. They were exposed to, because of this, they were exposed to things like unwanted child pregnancies, harassment, child marriage, drug abuse, gender-based violence, and child labor, among other things. The situation was made worse in areas, especially in the low socio-economic status, which are the informal settlement. And this is a story that we have collected from the girls whom we interacted with to get information for this study. Next slide, please. Yes, and you can see some of these girls. So what is the situation of the young women? Most of the girls are not able to go to school because they do not have someone to leave their children with. These are their voices. This is exactly what they were telling us. They also do not have resources to go back to school because their parents disassociated themselves with them after they got pregnant. Of course, from the statistics, many girls dropped out of school because they were pregnant. And it was really an outcry in the country, forcing the government to send people to go and collect data. So we were also fortunate. It is almost the same time when we had these girls who are now speaking, giving us their information. The girls do not get enough emotional support from parents and teachers. Most of the girls do not have knowledge on contraceptives and how they can use them. There is also stigma about contraceptives. So for girls, and because in our country they call it family planning. So family planning, the question is, why would the girls who are adolescent girls be planning their families? That is where the stigma comes in. But of course, we all know that if they have information, they are able then to make informed decisions, and they can delay conception, they can delay getting pregnant, and they complete their education. Most of the girls, again, do not, girls who carry their pregnancy to term do not have knowledge on how to raise these children because, of course, after all, they are children. Next slide, please. Okay. So the challenges that these girls face, most of these girls do not have access to basic needs like sanitary towels. They lack support to be able to return back to school, even though there is a return back to school policy, government policy that encourages all the girls who have had babies during this period. They are allowed to go back to school, but of course they do not have enough support for them to go back to school, and they end up getting married at an early age, and of course eventually they drop out of school. As young women now married, they lack confidence to negotiate with their spouses. They are unable to make decisions about their sexuality, which then leads to domestic violence. With their parents disowning them, the girls stay in these abusive relationships so that they cannot get support for their children. And most of the girls, we learn that they lack life skills. They do not know how to deal with issues such as peer pressure. When they are pressured by others, they find themselves not able to make decisions or to move out because of this pressure. So sometimes they get into the relationships because of what they have seen other girls doing. These kind of challenges hinder the girls to achieve their full potential academically and socially. And thinking of what we were talking about, education, for sure these are girls whose life has been cut short just because of these challenges and the situation that they have. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, so what support can these young mothers get? Help, assistance, support, tips, guidance, advice. So we asked them what kind of support they have. So these are their voices, but also some of the things as a group, we also felt that we can include. They would want support to go back to school because after all, they are children. And if some such support can be someone to look after the babies, someone to make sure that when they go back to school, their children will not suffer. Financial support, scholastic materials. Earlier on, they talked about sanitary pads, which keep them out of school for a very long time. And of course, because they lack financial support. So equipping them with the entrepreneur skills like tailoring to support their children and also to support themselves and their family, equipping them with life skills, mentorship, confidence building, and improving their agency, establishment of mothers group who can be supported as a support system to take care of the young children who are left behind, but also to take care of these young women so that they can grow to full potential as they return back to school. Can I have the next slide? Yeah, and that's why a change needs to happen. Change must happen. For these mothers, look at the mothers as a mother cycle of change. Once their needs are met, once they have confidence, their skills are built, and they're able to go back to school, they can articulate their issues. These are the mothers that we see, they will actually bring about the changes because they have the changes. They have what it takes to bring about the change. Okay. Next. Okay. Thank you so much. So I want to take it over back to Saskia. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Saskia, you're muted.
Sorry about that. My name is Saskia Harkema. I'm Global Ambassador for Female Wave of Change, and I have the honor to be part of the Humanities team. And this part of our presentation is going to be more interactive, and it's going to be about the circles of change, because it's a very important topic that was addressed by Anastasia. If you just to get an estimation or a feeling for the figures, every year an estimated 21 million girls aged between 15 and 19 years in developing countries become pregnant, and 12 million of them also give birth to their children, and at least 777,000 occur of young adolescents younger than 15 years. And they become mothers. And this is why we also titled our presentation, and also we thought that it's important to focus on this topic, mothers as agents of change. So the Circles of Change is an instrument that was developed by Female Wave of Change for a specific purpose, in a sense, on the one hand, to elicit, to bring to the surface the issues around a specific topic, and then use that also to make, you could say, to do something. So what are these circles of change? A circle of change revolves around a dialogue which can take place at community level, country level, or even global level. And the goal of these dialogues is to bring groups of women together as equals, maximum 8 people, 8 women in this case, and to go into a dialogue about topics that are of major importance in a specific community or region, and difficult to discuss, and also that need solutions. Well, the topic that we just addressed is certainly a very important problem that does need solution also. A dialogue is also aimed to empower societies, to create an environment of mutual respect, empathy, to build relationships of trust and unconditional acceptance of differences, and learn from each other. So we want to go with you, that's why it's an interactive session, because a dialogue follows a certain sequence. It consists of 3 phases. The first phase is about the personal experiences. And why is that important? Because dialogue is not a place to debate in a very abstract manner about a specific topic. It starts with our personal experiences. And this is what we are sharing here also in this conference. And this is also the value of this conference, that we start with our personal experiences. It then takes us to our dreams. And from our dreams, we take it into action. So I want to ask you, in this brief time I have, of course, first of all, if you could react also in the chat in that respect, and I will have a look at it. If you think about this topic as mothers as agents of change, not only mothers that are now mothers, but also these young women that become mothers in very difficult situations. So what is a personal experience you have with this role of a mother in a community trying to become an agent of change? Can any one of you share a short personal experience or story? And if you just can mention it in the chat, I can see who of you would want to do that. The mothers are the pillars of families, and this is why their role is so important in many communities. And if we are able to address the mothers, we also have a point of entry to the families and to the communities. Can any one of you share a story of how you are maybe working also with mothers?
Yes, Saskia, good evening.
Yes, hello.
This is Fauza Belts. I'm dialing in from Dubai, Kenya.
Yes, hi, Fauza. Yes.
Yes, and
go ahead.
Yeah, I think what Saskia has actually shared, it's something that is very crucial. And having been personally doing some similar things in Kenya, I think action is needed. And for what she has shared, some of the things I always say that we can't always wait for people to give us money. But now I'm thinking the problem is there. How can we go about it and take action? So if it comes to the sanitary issues, can we make our own sanitary pads? Because that's something that the girls can actually do themselves. They need someone to train them. We just need to get the right equipment the right materials, and we can be able to solve that kind of a problem. And yeah, also empowering the girls. Workshops, I think workshops are very important, where someone can just have the girls together and just talk to them. You know, there's some things which in Kenya, not just Kenya, in Africa, we don't talk about, you know, sexual things, and, you know, how they can even care for themselves, and so that they are not taken advantage of. I think this is a dialogue that we need to have, so that some of those issues will be resolved. And I mean, talking about these things, Saskia, is very important, but I really think we need to take action.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Fausa. And thank you for your contribution or your comments on this, because it's absolutely true that the beautiful thing about these circles of change is, and the dialogue, is that you first are having this dialogue about these topics, these very important topics you mentioned, and that the aim is indeed to also initiate a process of change. Can someone share a dream? Because dreams are so beautiful also, and dreams is also gives us a perspective towards change and a different future in relation to this topic.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Danica.
Danica here,
Yes.
from Indonesia. I don't have a dream, I have a reality. But the thing that you are saying now, we are exactly doing here in Lombok. We made a community named Lombok Sisterhood. We are collecting funds from our friends through social networks, and we buy pets and we deliver them to all high schools and primary schools with an agreement with teachers and principals that the pets are available for all the girls, and even for the teachers, of course. This was the first step. The project is really young, but we got already 67 schools in the area of Mataram, that's the capital of Lombok, that is included in the project. And we already have a lot of calls from other schools around the island that want to join to this project. And as you mentioned before, the second step that we want to do is the education project. This is what I wanted to share. So it's not about funds, it's about the passion, it's about what we can do with a small initiative if we step together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danica, for sharing. I like that very much, this idea of a sisterhood. And this is just, you know, very in a kind of, in a very pressure cooker. I'm taking you through the steps of this circle of change. The last one is the action. So can you, and you mentioned one, Danica, but maybe someone else, can someone share a story about action and action in relation to this topic also? Because we want to make it actionable, because this is how you create change.
Hi, Saskia. Good evening, everyone. Can I share? It's Baballo.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who has joined in. What we have been doing in South Africa with regards to action is visiting the schools and establishing some sort of mentorship, you know, between us and the students, especially on these humanity and social challenges, because you find that young boys and girls do experience challenges, but they don't have platforms. They don't have well-meaning adults who can listen and advise them, you know, properly. So we have visited about 9 schools to date and continue those programs. And there are great rewards, because you find a young one, I think Anastasia shared about the situation that they have in Kenya, who have been on lockdown, and unfortunately they fall pregnant because there's no education, and they get scared and they don't know what to do. But when you then go and say, hey, I'm here to help, you know, how do we get you out of the situation? How do we, you know, start with what went wrong and how to rectify it? It's really been working well. It's just that the need is so big and the hands on the deck are a little bit few. So that is the action that I wanted to share tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Yes, with this, I'm also at the end of my part, but I do want to emphasize that these circles of change are really a very good instrument to, first of all, have conversations in communities about important topics, and then use them as a means and as a point of entry to develop all kinds of actions and create this wave of change that we are talking about. With having said this, I would like to give the word to Sophia, our dear Sophia.
Thank you, Saskia. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia, and I'm the Female Wave of Change Wave Maker from South Africa. And I'm also a team member in the Humanity pillar. So my responsibility is actually very easy. I'm just here to just wrap up what my team members have already spoken about, and also to raise a call of action. It is important for us to note that empowerment shouldn't be only about spoon feeding, shouldn't only be about sugarcoating, but it should also be about holding a person and teaching a person to be accountable. And as Anastasia has shared, the current situation in Kenya, young girls, young women, getting pregnant, exchanging their bodies in order to support their need for, sanitary pads and all of that. We also have the same situations all around the African continent. But the first question that would come in mind is, where is the mother? And that is why, as the Humanity pillar, we have decided that we are not going to be, part of so many organizations and so many people that empower only by words, but we are going to be part of the handful that actually take action. And as Dr. Amina said, that we will not take action for someone, but we will, also involve them in the action and empower them, allow them the opportunity to take action for themselves. And that is why we have called this project to be the Mother Circle of Change, because our aim, our overall objective is to educate mothers that regardless of the cultural expectation, regardless of the societal norms, regardless of whatever circumstances or financial circumstances they might be experiencing, when there's a girl child in the home, the first person that needs to support the girl child is not only the community or the school or the girl child herself, but it is the mother. So we need, as a community, we need as organization to work closely, to focus. We have to remember that a woman is not just a woman, but a woman is a woman with many responsibilities. So that is why sometimes we are falling short in reaching our goal of empowering a woman, because we're focusing on a woman as a woman, and therefore we are not able to solve the issues and the problems and the challenges that a woman is facing. So that is why focusing on a woman as a mother at this moment to face and to break the cycle of shame, of poverty, of abuse that the young people are going through. It has to start with the mother. We need mothers to support the girl child. We need mothers to start pulling up their socks. And that is why my call for action, our call for action as the Humanity pillar, is to send the country ambassadors, to send the country wave makers, to send, the country pillars or participants or contributors to say, in your community, let's start forming this cycle of mothers. Let's hear what their struggles are. Are they under oppression of cultural expectation, having to kick out the girl child because she got pregnant? Is it because they're not empowered or equipped with skills, to know how to can support a girl child when she's on a menstrual period and there's no money to buy pads? Let us find out what their challenges is and work with them so that they can start supporting the girl child, and perhaps, hopefully, we will be able to stop this cycle. We will be able to, because the truth is, should this girl be able, obviously, to get the sanitary pads for the moment, it's a temporary situation because she gets pregnant. Being in poverty, she gets pregnant, she gives birth to another girl. Right? What happens? The cycle continues. So we need, as organizations, we need as women to take action and create a sustainable solution. And this is our call for action as the Humanity Pillar. Should you want to get involved in this project, please do be in touch with any member or Adriana, who is the leader of the Humanity Pillar. And that is it for me.